Hello friends and welcome back. So today in this video we will discuss HIPAA, its compliance, rules and how to recognize and protect PHI. So without wasting any time, grab a notepad and let's begin. So HIPAA stands for Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. It is a law enacted in the United States which aims to safeguard patients' privacy and ensure the security of their health information in the healthcare system. Receipt, access, and use of health data makes you responsible for complying with requirements under HIPAA. Before we move ahead, let's discuss what is PHI. PHI is any information about an individual health, treatment, or payment of treatment that can be used to identify the individual. PHI can be found in medical records, electronic records, or spoken information, and it can include name, address, phone number, email address, social security number, medical record number, health records, health history, medical bills. I have made a separate video where I have discussed about different type of sensitive information like PII, PI, SPI, PHI. For more information, you can go and watch that video. So now coming back to the topic, there are different organizations which are covered under HIPAA. So let's discuss that. First is covered entities. These organizations are directly involved in providing healthcare services or handling electronic healthcare transactions like medical care providers, health insurance companies, laboratories, healthcare clearing houses. Then there are business associates. These are the individuals or entities that provide certain services to the covered entities and may have access to individuals' protected health information in the course of performing those services. So business associate can include entities like billing companies, IT service providers, consultants, or subcontractors. There are two important rules of HIPAA that you should be aware of. First is privacy rule, which sets standards for safeguarding and regulating the use and disclosure of individuals' protected health information. It grants patients the right to access their health information, request corrections in inaccuracies, and control how their information is used and disclosed. Then we have security rule. The security rule establishes standards for protecting electronic protected health information through administrative, technical, and physical safeguards. Administrative safeguards are there to prevent, protect, contain, and correct security violations. It includes establishing policies and procedures to manage the security of PHI. There can be different policies according to the organizations like HIPAA compliance policy, procedures policy, and information security policy. And these policies are based on type of entity, if covered entity or it is a business associate. Technical safeguards, meaning using technology to protect PHI, like access control, providing access to only those needed, prohibiting access to non-work emails, locking your screen after 15 minutes of inactivity, using antivirus and strong passwords, audit controls, monitoring data through network, system, and application logs. And transmission security means access to PHI which is transmitted over electronic communication networks by encrypting data, securely transmitting data through SFTP. So all these are the technical safeguards which are used to protect PHI. Physical safeguards focus on protecting the physical security of facilities and equipment that store or handle PHI. It includes facility access control, which requires ID cards and badges, employing alarms and video surveillance systems, securing location of workstations, files. What are the elements of privacy rule? So let's discuss the elements of privacy rule. First, we have business associates. These are the individuals or entities that provide certain services to covered entities like healthcare providers, health insurance companies, and these may have access to PHI while performing those services. So suppose if I am providing any services to any insurance company, then I am not directly covered, but I am a business associate. Individual or company acting as subcontractors are also considered business associates and must follow all the rules. So if I have subcontracted any of my work to any other person, then that subcontractor will also be considered as a business associate, and that person, that subcontractor, must also follow all the rules. Second element is business associate agreement. So before a business associate can receive PHI from a covered entity, they must enter into a business associate agreement with the covered entity. Suppose if I want to give any services to any insurance company, so before I can access any PHI data, I have to get into the business associate agreement. Business associate agreement outlines each party's responsibility related to the provision, use and protection of PHI. And it also specifies the safeguards that the business associate must implement to ensure the security and confidentiality of PHI. And subcontracting also requires business associate agreement. Third element is minimum necessary standard. Key requirement of HIPAA privacy rule is you must request, use and disclose only the minimum amount of PHI necessary. So you must only request the minimum amount of PHI which is required. Restrict access to PHI based on individual roles and responsibility, like implementing role-based access control. You should be aware of procedures, guidelines on use and handling of PHI. Employees training should be given regularly. Before receiving PHI, consult with client to determine if this is necessary to perform the service. And if you have received PHI which is not required, delete it immediately. Now we have discussed the different rules and elements of HIPAA. So now it is important for us to understand what is PHI, how to recognize a PHI. Recognizing PHI is crucial to ensure compliance with HIPAA regulations and safeguard individual privacy, because you can't protect it if you don't know what it is. So what is PHI? PHI is information about individual past, present and future health status, condition or treatment and payment for treatment. PHI is information that refers to healthcare services provided to individual. Some examples of PHI, like sending an email to doctor's office about appointment or prescription, voicemail about healthcare appointments, record containing both person name and name of their medical provider, which includes member ID or member number, bills or claim information from doctor or clinic, healthcare provider appointment scheduling notes. So all these are examples of PHI. These examples illustrate how various type of health information fall under the category of PHI and are subject to HIPAA protections. What is de-identification? De-identification is aimed at removing identifiable elements from health data. Under HIPAA, in order for PHI to be considered strictly de-identified, all personal elements from common identifier must be removed from the dataset. And some of the examples of common identifiers include name, birth date, admission date, email, social security number, medical record number. So what is the purpose of de-identification? So it helps to protect individual privacy, and de-identified data can be used for research, public health or other purposes without requiring individuals' consent. as it does not contain any identifiable information about any individual, right? Other method of de-identification is a statistical expert who makes a written determination that the data set possesses a very low risk to identify the data subject. Mandatory disclosure of PHI. These are requirements to ensure individuals' right to access their own health records and maintain transparency in PHI handling. If a person requests information from their own records, the information must be provided. Covered entities will receive and respond to these disclosure requests directly. Business associate often include language in the business associate agreement making any disclosure responsibility of the client. Because covered entity are directly dealing with the PHI, disclosure request directly comes to them. So business associates often include in the agreement that if any disclosure, then it is the responsibility of the client who is the covered entity, right? Keep a record of any or all disclosure of PHI made to subcontractors. Coming to breach and violation under HIPAA. So before we move ahead, let's understand what is a breach. A breach is the acquisition, access, use or disclosure of PHI in a way not permitted under HIPAA, compromising the security and privacy of PHI. I have made a video on difference between security breach, security incident and security event. For more information and more detailed video on security breach, you can go and refer to that video. Breach related regulations apply only to disclosure of PHI, and it also applies to disclosure of more than minimum necessary information may constitute a breach as it exceeds the permitted use or disclosure under HIPAA. Impermissible use or disclosure of PHI is presumed to be a breach unless low probability is demonstrated by incident response team. If someone not authorized accidentally accesses PHI, it is considered as impermissible disclosure and a potential breach. Incidents can take many forms, such as accidentally sending an email containing PHI to the incorrect recipient, sending PHI via unsecured methods like regular email or file sharing services instead of using secured file transfer protocol or encrypted channels can lead to potential breaches. Loss or theft of electronic devices like laptop or mobile devices which contains access to PHI. So these are some of the potential breaches which must be reported immediately. After a breach is reported, the incident response team conducts an investigation and risk assessment to work diligently towards understanding the breach, its extent, and to determine how it occurred. Business associate holds the same direct responsibility and liability as covered entities, and violations can result in penalties including civil monetary penalties ranging from $50,000 and 1 year prison to $250,000 and 10 years in prison. Violations of HIPAA regulations can occur in various forms and may result in penalties or sanctions for covered entities and business associate. And violations include impermissible use and disclosure of PHI, like sharing or accessing PHI without authorization or with permitted scope. Failure to provide breach notification to covered entities. Covered entities are required to promptly notify affected individuals. Failure to provide access to a copy of PHI. Failure to disclose PHI to investigate or determine compliance. Failure to provide an accounting or disclosure. Failure to enter business associate agreements with subcontractors. Failure to comply with requirements of the security rule, that is administrative, technical and physical safeguards. So all these are considered as violations under HIPAA. So what you need to do as an individual or as an organization To ensure HIPAA compliance, follow these steps. Take monthly security awareness training, educate employees on HIPAA regulations, privacy practices, and security protocols through regular training sessions to raise awareness and promote compliance. Use SFTP or encrypted methods for PHI transfers. Avoid using PHI in documents or papers. Lock screen and do not allow unauthorized access. Secure fax and print copies shared where necessary. Be aware of the document retention policy for storing and archiving. Document retention policy outlines the appropriate duration for retaining and securely storing records which contains PHI. Identify and report incidents promptly. So, all these are the steps which you need to follow as an individual or as an organization to ensure HIPAA compliance. I hope you like this video on HIPAA compliance and basics of HIPAA. This is a mandatory training which needs to be completed by all the employees for the organizations which are either covered entities or business associates, meaning which are either directly providing healthcare services or any other organizations which are providing services to these covered entities. I hope you like this video. If you like this video, share it with your friends who are working in healthcare industry, and do subscribe for more such videos. Thank you. See you. Bye bye. Consider joining me on LinkedIn. See you.